We're now at Belle Starr Antiques and Vintage Market in downtown Fort Smith. This store has a unique, high-quality inventory of vintage goods. Let's go inside and get their full story from the owner, Beth. So I'm here at Belle Starr with the owner, Beth. And Beth, thanks for having us here today.
Yay, I'm so excited.
Well, we're very excited to be here. And today I'd like to start out with you telling us a little bit about you and life before Belle Starr. What were you doing before?
You know, I honestly hardly remember life before Belle Starr. I really have a hard time with that. I've been doing this now for about, well, this is our 9th year in business. So we've going on almost a decade. But yeah, it was always kind of just a pipe dream of mine. Beforehand, I actually was managing an athletic club here in Fort Smith, so a total contrast to what I'm doing now for a living. But yeah, at the time of my life, I was really hungry for that next step, and I knew that I wanted to be able to do something that I believed in every day and was passionate about. And so just took a chance, and here we are.
Well, I think it's awesome that you took that chance, and I love the fact that you picked downtown. What inspired you to not only open Belle Starr, but open it here in downtown?
Well, I'm not originally from Fort Smith. I grew up in the central part of the state. But one of the things that got me into this business was historical tourism. My mom and I would travel all over the South, and the favorite places that we would go always had an amazing historical downtown. When I first moved to Fort Smith, I really saw it was lacking an antique shop. You know, people who like to visit historical towns, more often than not, they also like to go antiquing. So to me, it was just a natural fit. And then when I moved here, I absolutely fell head over heels in love with downtown Fort Smith. It is just, you know, I think any older downtown, it's the foundation. It's where we've come from. It's where all the culture lives, and you know, these little mom and pop shops that are our local flavor. So that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to contribute to that in my own way and celebrate it through Belle Starr Antiques.
Well, I love how involved you are, and you know, going with that community involvement piece. You have different events and things like that to support downtown. Can you kind of elaborate on some of those for me?
Sure. Anytime there's something going on in downtown Fort Smith, I want to be a part of it. I think it really does take all of us working together towards a greater good to, you know, support this downtown that we do have. So I love doing, we have Vintage After Dark, which is kind of an after-hour shopping experience for our clients that takes place during the third Thursday every month. You know, downtown retailers and restaurants do third Thursdays, and that's always so much fun. In the spring this season, we had our first shot at our very first outdoor vintage show, which was really exciting for me. When we bought this property a few years back, I loved having all of the land undeveloped that came along with it. So until I can save up enough money and afford to develop it, I thought, hey, let's use it for something. And the vintage show was just a very natural progression. It was a phenomenal response for the first one, so much so that we're really excited to announce that we're going to do another one in the fall, so hopefully twice a year. But we were able to house over 130 vendors indoors and out, collectively with food trucks, live music. You know, it was just such a fun vibe, and I was thrilled with the community response for it. It definitely shows that we need to be doing this again and again. So
I have to ask, you know, you talked about all the vendors you have. You have a very unique rotating inventory here. That's a really top priority for you, isn't it? To bring in new things for your clientele.
Absolutely. I'm kind of a stickler about it. That's part of the gig whenever you have a booth space with us, is the expectation of high turnover, keep it fresh, keep it funky, high quality, great prices. I mean, there's so much that goes into branding this type of business. When I'm representing over, you know, almost 90 vendors, we have to have a cohesive brand with all the different styles and all the different things that go into it. So we do have some really great framework that keeps us in check and keeps our quality as high as it is with the turnover that we have.
Well, that's fantastic. It's very unique to have a rotating inventory. It's always something new for your clients. Now, speaking of your clients, I know you have your regulars that come in. What would you say to those that maybe aren't your regulars, someone who, you know, hasn't developed that thrifted style? What would your message be to them?
First of all, get on that train. It's time.
Yeah.
I've always, one of my favorite things about this job is the creativity that can come through with it, through styling your home. You don't spend enough time at your house, so the precious time that you do have at home, you want to create a sanctuary for yourself and one that's reflective of your personal tastes and style. And so really to be able to educate our clientele, the new shoppers as well as our current shoppers, how important it is to shop thrifted style. There's this connotation with thrifting that it's like, cheap thrift store stuff, whenever really and truly it's just sensible. That's what we like the message to be, to give our customers. We have such a great variety of prices, but the thing is too, the merchandise that's in here was made at a different time. It wasn't created to be disposable, it was created to last. And so, for individuals to shop at big box stores or, IKEA, Target, all that jazz, you're getting product readily available, absolutely, but it's also mass produced and triple the price for a fraction of the quality. And so that's the whole message that we really want to convey to our clients, is that it's, economical and eco-friendly, which are two of our favorite things as far as being able to keep everything recycling through. So I love being able to do that. That's one of the reasons actually that we do staged vignettes and styled photos through our social media, because we really like to try to show people how to fit these vintage and antique pieces into their modern homes. And I think that that's really important because it's still very relative.
And my last question for you is, what should people expect to experience when they come here to Belle Starr?
Oh, I love my job. I hope they experience happiness as soon as they set foot outside. I mean, we really have tried very hard to create an experience. It's not just going shopping when you come in here. You're greeted as soon as you walk in with great vintage music from the 20s to the 40s, hopefully very friendly staff that's welcoming. This gig here, there really is a very shared sense of nostalgia. Everyone that comes through here is seeking an experience or a memory, and you walk through and you see things that your grandparents had, or was always hanging on the wall in your next door neighbor's house, and it sparks that memory. And so it really is, it's a feel-good job. I mean, it's a very, again, shared sense of nostalgia that kind of brings us all in here. So,
well, I appreciate you having us here today. Thanks so much for informing not only myself, but people who may not have experienced this yet. And I definitely encourage anyone to come down to Belle Starr if you haven't yet. Beth, once again, thanks for having us.
No, thank you so much. We sure appreciate it.
It's no problem at all. Whether you're an avid antique shopper or just looking for a unique shopping experience, Belle Starr is an obvious choice for your next outing in Fort Smith.